There's a strange honesty to the night, isn't there? It strips away the costumes we wear during the day. In daylight, we posture, we manage impressions. We carry ourselves like the heroes of our own stories. But at night, our strength lies down, quite literally. The mind slows, the heart speaks louder, and prayer, when it happens here, reveals its true nature. The disciples learned this lesson the hard way. Gethsemane wasn't just a garden, it was a pressure chamber. Jesus tells his closest friends, "Stay awake with me. Keep watch." He's not asking for a ritual, but for readiness. He's asking for alignment. They start with good intentions, wanting to stand with him in the spiritual battle. But flesh gets tired, eyelids get heavy, and slowly, prayer slips into drift. They aren't condemned for being human, they're corrected for losing focus. You see, there's a massive difference between praying from rest and praying from drift. Rest says, "I'm choosing God with what I have left." Drift says, "I'm offering God the leftovers of my attention." The disciples weren't corrected for their posture, but for their priority. This brings us to a powerful framework for understanding prayer. Lying down can be a place of surrender, or it can be a place of slow disconnection. The position is the same, the engagement is not. Let's rewind into Scripture again. This time to Jonah. Thrown into the sea, swallowed by something larger than himself, he prays from the darkest, most unexpected sanctuary imaginable, the belly of a great fish. No posture, no kneeling, no audience, no prayer mat, just desperation and direction. He prays with clarity of focus because his circumstances have stripped away every illusion of self-rescue. And from that place of surrender, God writes a rescue scene. Jonah prayed lying down in confinement, but he was standing up in his focus. David prayed lying down in exhaustion, but he was upright in his remembrance. Hezekiah prayed lying down facing a wall, but he was looking upward in surrender. Every story points to the same lesson. God honors prayers that turn toward him, not prayers that merely happen around him. Now, let's bring this into our modern world. There's a common belief today that if prayer requires effort, then sincerity must feel like a struggle. If devotion is real, it must feel hard, but that belief is cultural, not scriptural. Effort can reveal sincerity, yes, but struggle is not the only evidence of surrender. Imagine two scenes. Scene 1. A man kneels beside his bed, hands folded, voice loud, posture textbook perfect. But his mind is already drafting tomorrow's schedule. His heart isn't speaking. He looks surrendered, but inwardly, he's scattered. Scene 2. A woman lies flat on her back. Her voice is quiet. Her body is tired. But her heart is alert, remembering God's faithfulness, like flipping through pages in her mind. She talks to God like someone is in the room, not someone far away. She doesn't have the energy for volume, but she has attention for presence. One prayer is loud but distant, the other is quiet but intimate. Which one does heaven lean toward? Scripture makes it clear. Presence outweighs presentation. This is why guilt so often tries to interrupt prayer in moments of rest. Guilt says, "You're not doing enough for God to listen," but conviction says, "You're not looking enough. Look again, turn again, remember again." One voice pushes you from prayer, the other pulls you into it. God doesn't reject tired prayers, He redirects distracted hearts. And here's the twist every story needs. Sometimes the greatest threat to your prayer life is not weakness, it's autopilot. Autopilot prayers are the most dangerous because they feel active while being absent. They look awake while being asleep. They sound devoted while being disengaged. They mimic connection without requiring it. Scripture warns us through narrative, not just command. The disciples fell into autopilot and nearly missed the moment their souls were meant to witness. So what do we do when prayer begins to drift? The heroes of Scripture didn't chase perfect posture, they chased perfect direction. They physically adjusted their position only when their hearts needed protection, not when God needed impressing. If lying down opens your heart, stay there. If lying down closes your attention, then rise, not for God's approval, but for your own alignment. Discipline is not a replacement for intimacy. Discipline is a protector of intimacy. Think of posture like camera angles in a story. The angle doesn't change the truth, but it can change the viewer's attention. Sometimes you change the angle not to change the message, but to save the moment from being lost. Prayer works the same way. Sometimes you shift your body to rescue your focus, so your heart doesn't lose the scene. And now, we land on the core emotional point of this part. God is listening for 3 story signals in your prayer. Honesty: are you speaking real words or safe words? Attention: is God in the room of your mind or in the background of it? And direction: is your heart turning toward Him or just drifting beside Him? These are the signals that moved David's nights, Hezekiah's fate, Jonah's rescue, and Christ's greatest moment of surrender. But here's the scene shift no one expects. What if the power of prayer isn't unlocked by how low you bend, but by how fully you turn? And what if the prayers you think are weakest are actually rewriting your soul's story in ways you can't see yet? Because the God who listens isn't just close, He's leaning in. But the question is, leaning into what? That's the mystery the final part of our series will reveal. Thanks for watching.